Hi guys, it's
Lauren Daisy.
welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be carrying on a series that I started a little while ago, but that I've kind of neglected in the past few months. And that is my ranking every love interest series. And we did Pretty Little Liars already. So we've done Aria, Spencer, Hannah, Emily, Allison, and then we ranked every single couple from Pretty Little Liars, like 85 of them. So if you want to go over and watch those videos, I do have a playlist on my channel already. But today we are carrying on the Gossip Girl version of that series. So far I've only done Blair, but we do have Serena, Dan, Vanessa, Jenny, and Nate and Chuck, I think, are the ones on my list. And then obviously ranking them all at the end, which I think may be even more couples than Pretty Little Liars. And today we're going to be talking about our it girl, Serena Woodsen, and her love interests. It's slim pickings. She has a few nice ones, but I don't know. You'll see. I'm not really a fan of Serena's love interest, but it's fine. I'm going to do my makeup, and we're just gonna sit and we're gonna talk about Serena's love interest today. Okay? Are you excited? I hope you are. So at number 11, I have a Gabriel. Okay, and you might be thinking to yourself, who the fuck is Gabriel? And Gabriel is Armie Hammer's character, yeah.
I only have eyes for one girl, and she is the most exquisite thing I've ever seen.
I tried not to let the horrific nature of Armie Hammer sway my decision here, but it kind of did. I had to put him at the bottom of the list. Gabriel came into it in the later half of season 2, and he is initially Poppy Lifton's boyfriend, and then he, Serena, and Poppy go to, I think they go to like Spain or something. They end up going on holiday together, and she and Gabriel end up connecting. She even thinks that they got married at one point, which was just ridiculousness, honestly, Serena. And then they begin dating. Then Gabriel says that he has to continue seeing Poppy because she is basically his ticket to his investors for his new company. And if he breaks up with her, then the money will pull out. So he's basically seeing Serena while also still seeing Poppy, and Chuck and Blair see right through this shit. They're like, what is wrong with this man? They're basically on a mission to prove that he is a con artist. And that turns out to be true. He and Poppy are working together to basically use Serena to scam her mother and her rich friends, which isn't really a good base for a relationship, you know? I just feel like if you're gonna date someone, you probably shouldn't try and con them out of millions of dollars first. So anyway, they bring back Georgina and have this whole plot to basically expose Gabriel, and he kind of comes out of it being like not the big bad. It turns out that Poppy is, but he was still in it enough to lie to Serena, to trick her, to go along with it up until the point that basically they got caught. So he's not redeemable. He's not redeemable, and I feel like he just wasn't that nice of a character anyway. Like, I don't know, like if Armie Hammer just has always had creepy vibes, but Gabriel also had creepy vibes, and I just didn't like him right from the get-go. I didn't really see their chemistry. I was also like, how old is this man? Because he looks old. And in season 2, Serena's like 17, I think, or 18. So I was just never really a fan of it. I didn't get the chemistry. And I didn't really care for them, even before he turned out to be a con artist. But that was what really, sealed his fate. So for me, he's the worst one. Hi guys, I am jumping in to tell you that we have our first ever sponsorship, and I'm so insanely excited. So a huge thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. So they have thousands of classes for you to choose from, thousands of members. It's really fun for if you kind of want to hone your craft a little bit more, whether it's for your business that you're starting or your career. or if you just want to start something new as a hobby and kind of just explore your creativity and imagination a little bit more, it will have a class for you. I promise. There is no hobby, photography, interior design, self-care. There is absolutely nothing that they don't have a class for. I was interested in the more social media side, so I saw that they had classes for video for social media, because obviously that's kind of what that's what I do here on YouTube, and also trying to branch out more into TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, that kind of thing. So I saw that they had a class on, you know, short form video for social media, so I thought that was absolutely perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Specifically the TikTok YouTube Shorts Reels one is by Max and Lena. I think it's like NYC Live. That one I've been really enjoying. And the Ultimate Self-Care one is actually by Jonathan Van Ness from Queer Eye, which I absolutely love him. So I was like, this is the perfect class for me. So if you guys want to join me on my self-care journey, or you want to take up a new skill or anything like that, anything that you're interested in, then the first 500 people to click my link below will get not only a 30-day free trial for Skillshare, but also 40% off of their first yearly membership, which is one of the best offers that Skillshare provides. So, you know, I'm hooking you up here. Thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video, but also thanks to you guys so much, to the viewers, everyone that watches my videos, because these things would absolutely not be possible without you and without your love and support. So just know that I see you and I love you very much. And now let's get back to ranking Serena's love interest, because honestly, after talking about these men, I needed that self-care class. I needed a meditation class after that. At number 10, I have Julian, and this shows you how much I don't like Gabriel, because Julian is literally gay.
I don't know why I ever had a crush on you.
Serena, I'm gay.
Serena had zero chance with him, but she had a crush on him in the play episode, I think it's called The Age of Dissidence, in season 2. And he's basically directing their play, and she thinks he's really cute for some reason, even though he's clearly old. And basically just tries to impress him this whole episode, and then it turns out that he is gay. So that's why I have him down here, because it wouldn't work, because she's quite literally not his type. But also, I still liked him more than Gabriel, and he was only in it for one episode, and yeah, I mean, he was like arrogant and like a bit of a tit. So I kind of just included him for the crack, really. At number 9, I have Ben, okay? And if you watch my Ultimate Gossip Girl series, actually, to be fair, if you've seen any video I've ever made about Gossip Girl, you'll know how I feel about Ben. I cannot stand Ben. I hate this man. Like, honestly.
You haven't slept.
I couldn't. Not until I knew you were safe. Last night at the party when everyone else doubted you, I never did. Not for a second. And I never will.
He's so dull, okay? He's so dull. He comes into it in season 4, okay? Season 4. And he basically is established as being Juliet's brother, the one that Serena had screwed over. Like, he's the whole reason that Juliet gets revenge on Serena and ultimately, you know, drugs her and leaves her for dead, right? So it's revealed that Juliet did this to to kind of avenge Ben, who had been falsely accused of statutory rape and had been put into jail by Lily. But they thought that it was by Serena, because Serena had signed this affidavit confirming that this is what happened, when in reality that did not happen, and Lily was the one who forged Serena's signature. So it's a whole mess, right? And if they had just done that was the storyline and they just left it there, you know, they just were like, okay, he's innocent, you know, now we know why Juliet was after Serena, yada, yada, yada. They kind of have, you know, like a nice moment of maybe her apologizing to him and whatever for what happened, and, you know, Lily kind of making amends for it, and that was it. It would have been fine. Okay? But the most interesting thing about Ben is Juliet. She is a genuinely good villain, and she brought a lot to the show, I think, anyway. She's annoying, obviously, but I do think that she was a good villain. And so that bit's fine. That bit is fine. It's when it becomes the Ben and Serena relationship, that's where you lose me. Because the whole kind of narrative was that Serena had gone to boarding school, and, well, initially in season 1, the whole narrative was that Serena had gone to boarding school and she had decided to turn her life around because she had slept with Nate, she'd betrayed Blair and all this stuff, and with Pete and Pete Fairman. So she had decided to turn her life around, and when we see her in the pilot, it kind of looks like she has done that. She comes back, she seems, sweet, she seems changed, and what I hate the most about the Ben storyline is that they made it so that he was the reason that this happened. Not that Serena on her own decided to change and that she, had this moment of growth. No. I'm back. I had an Oreo. Also, I'm going to talk about this fucking cup in every single Gossip Girl video because my best friend Miranda got it for me for my birthday, and it says, "Go piss, girl." Okay, back to the matter at hand. I think I was ranting about Ben. Anyway, okay, so Ben, right, yep, back to that old geese. So, yeah, that was the thing that frustrated me the most about the Ben storyline, was that it kind of erased the idea that Serena changed on her own, and it became that she changed for this guy. And I just wasn't a fan. I thought that it diminished kind of her character development for that early season, and the whole point was that the whole point of this Ben storyline was that he didn't sleep with Serena, right? That was the rumor. She, loved him, and there was maybe a bit of weirdness, like, why was he meeting up for coffee with her? Like when I was in secondary school, I would never have met up with a teacher for, like, coffee or, like, to go to the library, or, like, it was still a weird dynamic, okay? Lily shouldn't have done what she did, but I think it was still a weird dynamic. Anyway, besides the point. And I thought the same thing about Rachel as well. Like, Rachel was too friendly. Anyway. So, yeah. The whole point of that storyline is that Ben was falsely accused, right? So then, for him to get out of jail, and basically the first thing that he does is get with Serena, it's like, bro, like, are you serious? Because it showed that he obviously liked her at the time, which was inappropriate. And just because now she's 18, just because now she's 19, I think she's supposed to be in this season, or 20, now you're gonna date her? And I didn't like it. I thought it was really icky. And also, their chemistry was just shit anyway. I'm sorry. But Ben, and this is no shade to the guy that played him, but Ben just did not have the riz. Like, he was just, everything felt weird and stiff and awkward, like, with him. And he was also aggressive, like, with Damian, and obviously, Damian's an asshole. And he gets on people's nerves, so it's, it is what it is. But I don't know. He was just weird vibes. And I feel like he was happy to still speak to Juliet and his mum and everything, even though they had an issue with Serena, but he didn't like really that Serena was still seeing Lily and stuff, so she was kind of distancing herself from her family for this relationship, and I just didn't like it. I felt like it wasn't necessary. I think if he had come out of jail and she had, like I said, had apologized to him for everything and had maybe made a move on him, and he had said, no, like, I've always just seen the potential in you, and I just kind of wanted to mentor you or be there for you, but it's not romantic, and they just left it at that. For me, that would have been a lot better than they kind of force this relationship between the two of them. It's awkward, it's weird, and ultimately, you know, kind of ends up going nowhere. So I just feel like it just wasn't necessary. And yeah, I'm still mad that they kind of ruined the backstory of her at boarding school for it. Anyway, whatever. Let's move on. At number 8, I have Trip Vanderbilt. Okay, is Trip back here? Oh no, he's just like under here, I think. But yeah, we have Trip Vanderbilt, and like, you know that these other guys are bad when a literal attempted murderer makes the number 8 spot on the list.
Even with everyone else around, to be near you one last time.
And these elevators can't take forever.
I never liked Trip, okay? I never liked him, really. I think I absolutely love Aaron, the actor that plays him. And initially when he was introduced, I thought he was quite sweet. But then the fact that he literally leaves his wife for a 19-year-old? Sorry, sir. I think even Blair in the show says something like, what do you guys even have in common? Like, what does he have in common with a 19-year-old? And it's so true, because he's literally married. Like, he got married. Blair was at his wedding because he got married, or maybe she didn't actually attend, but she wanted to be a bridesmaid or whatever, back in season 2, right? So in season 2, they're about 17, 18, which he is marrying age. So he's got to be at least mid-20s. And then he's also running for some like Senate thing or some political thing. So he's obviously gone to uni, studied politics, and has come out of it, married Maureen, and is now, you know, doing whatever he's doing, running for whatever office he's running, right? And that shows his age, that shows how old he is. So what does he possibly have in common with Serena van der Woodsen? I'm sorry, but like, come on. It's just, yeah. Anyway, so that was weird. I mean, it did give us one of the most iconic moments in television history, which is the iconic Thanksgiving scene with Jason Derulo playing in the background. But when Blair and Nate both told her to stay away from him, I thought, you know, that would be good. Like, that would be a good lesson. That she falls for this guy, but ultimately she comes to her senses. But no, that's not what happens. And she goes away with him. He literally ends up leaving her for dead. Okay. Firstly, he basically goes back on everything that he said and is gonna stay with Maureen. Like, Maureen wants to have him publicly, and then Serena gets him in private, which is so bizarre. And then, because she doesn't like this arrangement, they decide to leave. They get into a car accident, and Trip literally leaves her for dead. He flees the scene, and yeah, he's just a huge scumbag.
Also, not only did he just leave her for dead, but he actually tried to blame the crash on her. I forgot to mention this, but he moves her, right? So she's in the passenger seat, and he moves her into the driver's seat, which not only could that have caused, what is going on with my hair? Not only could that have caused serious damage, like, you are not supposed to move somebody if they have been in an accident. Obviously that is for the professionals when the ambulance gets there. Not only did he put her in danger by moving her, he then literally made it look like she was the one that was driving and crashed. This is what Snorlax thinks of Trip Vanderbilt. Honestly, same.
Then, when you think, oh yeah, that was bad. That was bad. Then he comes back and tries to kill off another member of the Non-Judgmental Breakfast Club. So he comes back in season 4 or 5, maybe. Oh no, I think it might be. I think it might be 5. He comes back in season 5, right? And I don't know, he's like having beef with Nate over like something about his grandfather, right? Whatever. Fast forward, then we have Chuck and Blair's car accident, and it's assumed that, you know, they crashed because of the paparazzi. But then it turns out that the car they got into was meant for Nate, and Tripp had sabotaged his car. He says it wasn't to kill Nate, it was just to like hurt him or scare him or like delay him going to that camp thing or whatever it was. But like, what the fuck? That's insane. That's actual insanity. And because of him, Blair ends up losing her baby in that crash. So Tripp's an awful guy. And to be honest, should he be at the bottom of this list? Yeah, probably he should be. But my disdain for the other ones, it just took over. Okay, I'm sorry. It just took over. And I think he gave the drama. At the very least, he gave the drama. And at the very most, he was giving murderer. But it's okay, you know? It's a teen drama show for a reason.
Just realised that I didn't mention Damian. And I don't know if he really counts so much as a love interest, but she did kiss him in a flashback, and I had just completely forgotten about him until I actually saw an edit of them together on TikTok or something, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, I guess he does kind of count. So I'm going to add him in here. He doesn't really have an official number, we'll just call him 0.5.
Oh, my tutor.
Obviously, Damian's sleazy and slimy, but that's more because of what I feel like Serena had a kind of a big influence on that, and that's more when he is in the Upper East Side life, like properly when we meet him. Whereas when he was actually kind of like with Serena or, you know, flirting with her and whatever, he actually seemed a lot more genuine. And this was when he was kind of nerdy and cute and was helping her with her homework and all that stuff. And I think he came forward about Ben because he was genuinely concerned. So I feel like it maybe could have worked. And then, you know, when she kind of like was with him a little bit to make Nate jealous, like Damian's really cute, so I feel like they could have been a good match, maybe, like back in boarding school. So yeah, I can't believe I forgot about him, but yeah, we're gonna put him here.
Okay, then at number 7, I have Max. Do you guys remember Max? So Max was actually Ivy's boyfriend, from when she's living her normal life, and he basically comes to New York to try to suss out what the hell is going on with her. And in the process, he starts seeing Serena.
You could be my sous for the afternoon.
Could we cover ourselves in flour and lick spoons and do other cute things?
That's a prerequisite.
Then I can't wait to don my chef whites.
Honestly, the reason that he is higher up is because I think this guy was genuinely a nice guy until all this shit went down. And then he turned into an asshole, and, you know, this is the reason he's number 7. But originally when he first came in, he was quite sweet. You know, he offered to make Cece's birthday cake, and he was, you know, sweet with Serena and everything like that. And it seemed like he actually did like her. Then Ivy lies and says that he was threatening to release a sex tape of her. So obviously Serena ends up breaking up with him, and then Max basically gives up and leaves and is like, I can't do this shit anymore. Which honestly is fair enough. The stress of the Upper East Side, I think it would get to anybody. So I think for Serena, he wasn't a great match. Like, why is everyone so hell-bent on dating everybody in this show? So yeah, I feel like he wasn't a great match for Serena, but he was still nicer than the other ones that we've talked about. And, you know, maybe in another life, had he not been dating the person that was pretending to be her cousin, maybe, you know, they could have worked something out. At number 6, I have Aaron Rose. And Aaron is another one where, if you've been on my channel for a while, you know how I feel about Aaron Rose.
You didn't eat that ring, did you?
No, not yet.
Good. It's 9 years old.
Wait, you kept yours?
I'll see you tonight.
I cannot stand this man. Honestly, he's probably my least favourite. Like, okay, actually that's not true. Gabriel's my least favourite. But like, I definitely like him less than Ben. But I couldn't put him below Ben because Ben's like, he's icky, and that whole situation was weird and I don't like it. And as much as I cannot stand Aaron, I cannot stand this man. As much as I cannot stand him, he still was like a semi-decent guy. Do you know what I mean? And the fact that that puts him at like halfway up this list is so frustrating. Poor Serena, honestly. This poor woman. She gets all the shitty ones. But yeah, so basically Aaron comes into it in season 2, and he is Serena's first love interest after things don't work out with Dan. She starts seeing him after they realised that they went to like camp together when they were kids, and that was quite a sweet storyline, you know? Like, I was like, okay, I'm willing to give this man a chance. Then he kind of like screws her over and is seeing other girls at the same time that he's seeing her, and she puts up with a lot of shit from him, really. I think she should just let it go earlier on, but, you know, each to their own. And then when he does finally decide to, you know, commit to her, then she leaves him because she wants to be with Dan. They're literally about to go to Buenos Aires together, and she breaks up with him. I think either on the flight or just before. So yeah, not the best relationship here. But honestly, I didn't even care because I just wanted her to get rid of him. And also the fact that he was like Cyrus's son is so weird because they literally never talk about him again. I think maybe, yeah, he goes to Cyrus and Eleanor's wedding because he's with Serena at that point. Then after that, we literally never hear of him again. Not one time. He's literally Cyrus's son, and we never ever hear about him ever again. Like, and I get it because he's actually from the books. So I get why they included him and everything, but it just felt a little bit pointless, and then also super weird that he is never brought up ever again. The gist is, I can't stand Aaron, and it honestly pained me to put him this high up on the list, so much so that I don't want to talk about it anymore. Okay, breaking into the top 5, and it's still slim pickings. Okay, guys, it's still slim pickings. So at number 5, I have Stephen. And I put him at number 5 because he, you know, he was stable. He, you know, he had the money. He was able to provide for her. And he did seem to really like her.
I'm back, and I'm with you. New York has never seemed more perfect.
The promise of love.
I think Stephen was too old for her. Being completely honest, I think Stephen was too old for her. I know come season 6, she's supposed to be like 21, I think. But he literally has a daughter that is 17 years old and is literally like ready to get married to Serena after only a few months. And it's just a bit like, slow your roll, babes. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, that stuff aside, I just don't think there was a lot of chemistry there. I just wasn't feeling it. Like literally, also he slept with Lily like years back. That should have been the end of that. Yeah, I don't know. It was just a weird pairing. It didn't feel like she was truly herself with him so much. And when he kind of started to learn who she really was, he obviously didn't accept her for that and they ended up breaking up. And at that point, I was kind of like neutral on Stephen, you know? I was kind of like, he wasn't my fave, but he was fine, I suppose, you know, for a time. He, you know, is whatever. I was neutral. Then they bring him back in the Thanksgiving episode for season 6, right? And he's trying to win Serena back, basically. But at this point, she's already reunited with Dan. And Stephen just turns into an asshole for no reason. It was so bizarre. Like I said, I was like neutral on him. I wasn't too fast, but like he seemed like a nice enough guy. But then he like turns into this weird like asshole type character, and he's really rude to Dan and like trying to put him down, and then ends up being like rude to Serena. And I just was like, sir, what are you doing? I feel like I might have put him a little bit higher if he then hadn't come back and been such a dick and they'd kind of weirdly changed his character around. But yeah, I just didn't really, yeah. They just didn't have the chemistry for me. I just couldn't root for them. At number 4, we're getting into people that I actually liked now. So number 4, we have Colin, okay? And Colin could also come under fire for similar things to Ben and Stephen. He probably was a little bit too old for her. So I am acknowledging that.
I don't care about being a teacher. I care about being with you.
I can't believe you did that.
What I can't believe is how long it took me to do it.
And they shouldn't have been dating, or at least like sort of seeing each other while she was still a student at Columbia and he was a professor. But out of, you know, up until now, not only did I not like these characters, but also just fundamentally I felt like they didn't have good chemistry with Serena. I just didn't see it. But I feel like Colin is the first person on this list where I'm like, there was actual good chemistry here. I can't remember the actor's name that played him, but he was also in Desperate Housewives, and I was like, Colin, what are you doing here? But I feel like he was really good, and him, Blake Lively, had good chemistry as a couple. It was actually an interesting pairing, and they actually, yeah, like I said, had chemistry when they had their kind of like flirty scenes and things like that. You know, they had sweet moments, and I was kind of like, okay, if this is, you know, if this is where this is going, sure. And then he goes to the lengths of actually quitting his job and to be with Serena, and then she dumps right after that to be with Dan. So yeah, I feel like he had really good chemistry with Serena. I feel like he could have returned, you know, in a later season. We could have maybe seen him again as opposed to Stephen. Like, that would have been interesting if she had reconnected with Colin instead. I feel like that would have been more believable and would have been a bit more, I don't know, I feel like I just would have been a bit more invested in that. I feel like he was actually a pretty good one. Okay, now we're getting into the top 3. And I think when you first clicked on this video, it's probably going to be pretty obvious what the top 3 was, because you know, it's pretty slim pickings, like I mentioned, but these are probably the ones I'm most interested to know about, because I think there's going to be a lot of divided opinion here in where these 3 men rank. So I'm going to tell you now, obviously, who they are, and I want you to leave a comment telling me which way you would order them before I tell you mine. So obviously the last 3 that we have are Nate, Dan, and Carter. So those are Serena's last love interest that I have on her list. They're also her biggest love interest, I would say, or at least most famous ones. And they're the ones that get talked about a lot. Give you a moment. Comment down below your ranking of these 3. Okay, you done? Okay. So at number 3, I have Carter. And I don't know if that's going to be unpopular. I think people would probably have Dan a lot lower on this list. That's kind of what I'm banking on. But I have Carter at number 3. And I have him at number 3 because I really loved Carter. Okay? I love him.
I don't want anyone else. I want you.
Yes, I love Sebastian Stan, but I always loved Carter. That was where I first saw Sebastian Stan. And then when I watched The Winter Soldier, I was like, Carter Bazin is the Winter Soldier. So, yeah, I really liked him when I first watched it. And I feel like each time that I watch it, I like his character more and more. And I wish we would have seen more of it. I think that him and Serena had a really good dynamic because, yes, he was a little bit sleazy, but he also seemed to have quite a sweet side as well. And he was kind of part of that Upper East Side world. So they just seemed like a good match for each other. I think for me, I just couldn't put him any higher because he's just not in it as long. We just don't get to see as much of their relationship as we do with the other two guys. So yeah, but just know that I do really love Carter. And they start dating. Originally, they're kind of like feuding almost. There's like, it's kind of an enemies to lovers storyline, which we love. Then he actually helps her find her dad, which I feel like creates an interesting aspect of their relationship because he's really the only person that she trusts with that information and that she really confides in about him. Not even Blair or Nate, who she's literally dating at the time when her dad comes back. I feel like they had more potential, and they break up because Serena basically gets the Buckleys to pay off or like just make amends with Carter so that he doesn't have a debt to them anymore. And he breaks up with Serena because he doesn't want her to kind of pity him and he wants her to respect him, and she shouldn't have gone behind his back and fixed it. Which I kind of get, but I feel like it didn't have to be the end of their relationship because they were really sweet together, and I wish we had seen a lot more of them than we got to. And I liked that, you know, Blair and Chuck were skeptical about him, but then he proved to himself that he was actually genuinely interested in Serena. So yeah, they had some really sweet moments, and I feel like we could have had more. And honestly, had he been Serena's endgame, I wouldn't have been mad about it. At number 2, I have Nathaniel Archibald. And I feel like this is going to be a bit of a hot take because I know that people love Serena and Nate. They adore Serena and Nate. Honestly, I did as well. I was excited when they actually ended up getting together. I think that the scene in the bar where Nate tells Serena that she's the most alive person he's ever met is one of the sweetest scenes in the show. It's absolutely beautiful.
You loved me.
Of course I did. Serena, you're the most beautiful, amazing, alive person I've ever known.
They have so many sweet moments together, and I did really like them. Their chemistry was also absolutely off the charts. It was so, so good. Easily one of the best chemistry pairings in the entire show. And I think it was a real shame that it was short-lived, and for the time that we did get it, they didn't actually spend a lot of time that happy together. But the moments we did get to see, I really, really liked. I think, to be completely honest, the reason why I have put them as second is because I don't think Serena deserves Nate Archibald. I'm sorry, I don't. I adore Nate Archibald, okay? I adore that man. He's himbo number 1, and he's such a sweetheart. And I feel like just constantly throughout, she didn't give him what he deserved in that relationship. She kept secrets from him and she didn't tell him things, and I don't know, it just... And also, she didn't choose him. She chose Trip, and then she chooses Dan, and I just feel like he deserved better than that. I'm sorry, but he just did. And Serena in season 1, bubbly, cutesy Serena from like season 1, season 2, yeah, she could have had Nate Archibald. But the Serena that we get towards the end of the series, where she's mean and she's selfish and all this kind of stuff, where they kind of ruined her character, that Serena does not deserve Nate Archibald. I'm sorry, but she just doesn't. And yeah, I think they were a good match, and the fact that they were like the golden couple, and it was kind of, I liked that we had to wait to get them together in season 3 rather than them getting together like straight away. So it was kind of a slow burn, like friends to lovers to friends to lovers again kind of situation. So yeah, I did like them together, and I still love, you know, when it rolls around and they end up together again. And I think Nate was so sweet in that relationship, and he just loved her so, so much. And that was nice, but I just don't feel like she ever loved him in the way that he loved her. And because of that, I think Nate deserves better than Serena. But I love Serena. I love Serena and I love Nate, and I did love them together, but I just couldn't put them in the top spot because of that. So obviously, in the number 1 spot, I have Daniel Humphrey. And like I said, I think this might be a bit of a hot take. I think they might have people might have Dan lower on this list.
It's just nobody's ever looked at me the way you just did. In fact, I don't think they looked at me at all. You think I'm crazy, don't you?
No, I don't.
I think what sways me a lot in this decision is because of the deep love that I have for them in season 1. I just think they were so perfect for each other in season 1. They were so sweet. So many of my favorite romantic scenes in this show are shared between those two in those first 2 seasons, specifically season 1. And I just felt like they were always meant to be together. I think we got a bit lost along the way, and there are a lot of plot lines that I really don't like, and I wish they hadn't rushed them getting back together in season 6, and that he kind of hadn't treated her so badly in season 6. But I do think ultimately they were a good match. I mean, I feel like we see it a lot of times throughout the show. They are constantly drawn to each other again. I think one of my favourite moments is when he's the only one to believe her in the whole Juliet fiasco, and I think he always saw the best in her. I absolutely love the scene when he tells her why he loves her. I think that is so sweet, and I think the fact that they ended up getting married in the end was the right decision. I'm glad that they were endgame. I wouldn't have been mad at Carter. I also wouldn't have been mad at Nate, but I think in my heart of hearts, Dan is who I think she should have ended up with. And I think they are a better match. I think Dan always brought out the kind of best in Serena, and she always adored him. She always loved him, and he always loved her. And I think that's what's missing for me in the Serena and Nate partnership, is that she didn't always love him. And he always loved her and was like, she was his everything, and he just wasn't that for her. Whereas I think with Dan and Serena, it was kind of mutual, and I liked that they ended up together. And also for the reasons that I said she shouldn't have ended up with Nate, I think her and Dan deserve each other a bit more. I think they were the perfect match, and they weren't perfect people. And ultimately, do I think she deserved Nate? No. Do I think she deserved Dan? Yeah, kind of. They aren't the perfect couple by any means, but I think that also makes them work and makes them make the most sense to me. So that is my ranking of all of Serena van der Woodsen's love interests. Please let me know in the comments, do you agree with my ranking? Who would you have swapped over? I'm really interested, like I said, in the Carter, Nate, Dan debate. So yeah, let me know, and I will see you guys in my next video. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe. And I promise I won't leave it too long before I do the next installment of this series. So yeah, bye. I feel like my pink makeup turned out so cute. I was feeling that, you know, that lovey vibe.